Springtime in New
Yeah.
York City. The birds are chirping. You know what I love about New York City? I love the false spring that we get around this time of year.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, it's that week of like 50, 60 degrees because we're supposed to have snow next week.
Yeah, dude, I saw Saturday. There's a 30% chance of snow.
Yeah.
What? Next Saturday. I'm not tomorrow. We film these on. All right. It's Friday right now. It's Tuesday where you are. Happy Tuesday. Good afternoon.
Happy
Welcome to
Tuesday.
the Blackwolves Podcast.
The Packcast, one might call it. I'm your host, Jeremy Van Suarez.
I'm Jacob Wade.
And I'm Logan Riley Bruner.
Mm-mm-mm. Fall spring. New York I'm still on this. New York implants, be wary of the fall spring. All right, we know it.
Good.
It does feel good. It feels so
Like
good to be able to
today.
go out in like just a sweater, not have to worry about like the Calvin Klein like weatherproof coat.
Oh yeah.
Take
off your North Face.
Spring cleaning.
And with spring cleaning comes a bit of house cleaning. Logan, you already know the drill.
In terms of housekeeping, we released a new interview with Mr. Marcus Troy, who's a new collective member of ours. We were very excited about that.
Welcome.
It's our longest interview to date because Marcus just had so much to say that was really important that we couldn't like find things to cut out. So we just gave you all of it. So go check that out. It's a really great interview. We're super happy with it.
Oh, we'll also be announcing something else. We've got another new thing, new person, new something new coming, and
Some new stuff. Yeah, keep an eye on our page on Monday, which will have already happened by the time this podcast comes out. So maybe there's some news that you missed. Maybe go check out our Instagram right now. Other than that, not really much housekeeping. We're still editing daily. So yeah.
Blackwolves keeping that hype train chugging along.
Dude, we're trying. We are working really hard, you guys.
We are working really hard. Yeah, man.
Can't wait for you all to see what we've been working hard on.
Indeed. We're out here making new art. There's some art recently that had just like finished. We're gonna bounce around a bit. WandaVision. All right. WandaVision, guys. You know we love it.
Yeah.
And WandaVision's over now.
Yeah.
Tear face. It ended last week, 2 weeks ago? Probably 2 weeks ago by the point this podcast comes out.
We talked about on the podcast being excited for the finale.
Yeah.
And we didn't say a word about it because we care about spoilers, but maybe not. We're gonna try to talk about this season in review without spoiling as much as possible. All right. There's gonna be some talk about it. We're telling you right now, okay? So don't get mad at us. We're telling you right now.
Click on the timestamp after this conversation if you don't want to be spoiled at all. I'm going to try and hold these two to not spoil anything.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna be extremely vague, no details, right? Just themes.
Yeah, we'll see.
Come on.
We'll see.
Don't ruin other people's fun, Jeremy. We talked.
How am I ruining other people's fun if we're giving them a warning?
Because this isn't the spoiler cast.
Whatever. WandaVision, guys. I don't I don't know. I don't want to start with give me a number rating, but how do you feel after watching WandaVision? After having this whole story come to a close, how do you feel?
Jacob, do you want to start or can I?
I'll start.
Go ahead.
I feel fulfilled. I feel confused. I feel like my time was spent well watching it. I had a good time each week tuning in and putting the puzzle together. However, there are still some puzzle pieces left out of the puzzle, and I'm looking forward to more phase 4 projects and seeing how those holes get filled. I have questions about Pietro. Still?
What questions do you have?
My question is, why would they do that? Why would Marvel do that with casting? Is my question. And then to explain it in the way that they did, it felt weird to me. And it still feels weird to me. And I have seen the finale twice now, and I'm still just a little weirded by that
Reveal.
reveal and section of plotline for such like canon, like this is a big deal. They're treating this like a big deal. And so that was one part of this magnificent puzzle that felt like it wasn't a big deal, even though it felt like a big deal. Like, okay, so that's what I have to say. I have those feelings, but I also feel like, yeah, it was really smartly done, and I was entertained, and it was surprisingly kid friendly. I think the Disney Plus aspect of it made it really kid friendly, even though it's like a complex show that really requires you to like think to put it together, but not really, because they explain a lot by the end of it. Anyway, I'm gonna pass the mic to Logan. What did you think, Logan?
The first 6, maybe 7 episodes, it was my favorite Marvel property that they had ever released.
There's only 8.
And the 8th made it just another Marvel project. Which was a little disappointing. Doesn't take away my enjoyment of the first 7 episodes. I think the first 7 episodes are really badass. And the finale wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
But it did, for me, just become another Marvel thing. Like, it was like, is this really where we had to end up in this kind of episode where, like, this is what's happening? You've been so creative up until this point. This feels like you got to the end and we're like, well, we know what everyone's expecting. And that's not what I wanted out of this show. I wanted something different. I wanted a different look on the Marvel reality. I am curious as to how they're going to treat some of these characters going forward. And I've seen some interesting perspective on what happens to our primary antagonist that I will be happy to discuss in our spoiler cast.
It's all speculation, though. Right? Rumors?
No. Thoughts on the fate of the antagonist of the first season.
Oh, the fate. Got you.
And why it's a little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Loved it up until episode 8, and then episode 8 I liked it. Which is, it's difficult when you have a bar that you set so high and then just like don't quite hit it.
Logan and I talked about this the other day. There's a tweet that sums it up really well for me from at Rob Rousseau. WandaVision is initially interesting because it's not just CGI actors flying around shooting different colored energy blasts at each other. So it's very funny that it slowly but surely devolves into CGI actors flying around shooting different colored energy blasts at each other. That pretty much sums up how I feel about WandaVision. I think it starts off as something that is so not Marvel. There's no world-ending stakes at play. It's such a deep dive into such a human connection. I felt like I was really connecting to the show. I had just lost a family member in the first month of this year. So to see a show talk about death and grief and how people deal with that grief and how you deal with that grief when you have reality warping powers was just like such a new and honestly brave take for Marvel to go on. And especially because Jacob's right. It is pretty kid friendly. It's not like overly scary. There's no like blood. No one's like throwing F-bombs around. Like it's very PG. Aside from like the emotional topics that it tackles. But I do think that by the time we get to the finale, it finds itself in its typical Marvel trappings.
Which might be COVID.
Could be. I wasn't really like feeling the stakes. I wasn't feeling too much of the resolutions, and I'm like, and in a way, I kind of excuse that because I understand that WandaVision is also the first part of a like 12-part phase 4. And that's always Marvel, you know? It's like what Logan said. I loved it, and by the last episode, I liked it.
Yeah.
Would I still recommend it to people?
100%.
Hell yeah. I think this is a great start to phase 4. It's an unexpected way to start it, and it sets up a couple different movies.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yep. Especially with those after credit scenes. Make sure you stick around for those.
There's 2 of them in the final episode.
It's also opening up a field of new characters, which I'm excited about, and new
Yeah.
storylines, and it's just a lot. There's a lot to be excited about, I feel like.
And once we're not all editing 8 hours a day every single day, we'll sit down and make like a 45-minute podcast of just us talking about the things that we really loved and the routes that they take off of this show and the excitement that we have for like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and Falcon and Winter Soldier and Black Widow and kind of all the ways that those
Ironheart
interconnected. Ironheart, yeah. It's gonna be exciting, dude.
Magic Conch, maybe someday.
Maybe someday. But you know, it is happening today, or rather yesterday, Thursday, March 11th. The acquisition of Bethesda by Xbox. Makers, developers of Skyrim and Doom and Fallout and Dishonored and The Evil Within and Prey. Xbox exclusives coming their way.
This makes me tight because I was a big Skyrim fan, and I won't be playing the new game.
Well, we don't know that for sure.
They just own the company.
Oh, they just own the company.
Sony,
Yeah.
Hey, Sony owns Insomniac, and wait, Spider-Man didn't get released on Xbox.
I think not even games like Skyrim and Fallout. I think Skyrim alone is too big to be an Xbox exclusive. That's a lot of they could take
a lot of money because it's a PC gamers will want to play Skyrim.
Here's my theory. If it's going to come out as an exclusive, it's going to be a console exclusive, which means it comes out on like Xbox and PC, and it's going to have a 1-year exclusive time window. That's my bet. And PlayStation players are just going to have to wait. Which, yeah, it hurts, but you know what? This is the norm.
This is America.
This is America. This is capitalism at its finest.
Yeah.
This is what breeds competition. You know, Sony had Final Fantasy VII for a year-long exclusive.
Right.
I still don't know when it's coming out on Xbox, to be honest. I haven't really heard any news about that.
Me either.
And not only that, but it was interesting when the acquisition first got announced late last year, because Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, which were 2 Bethesda games, had already been announced as timed PlayStation exclusives.
Okay, so
now, yep, Bethesda's going to honor that deal. You know, Deathloop is still going to be exclusive, and so is Ghostwire Tokyo. But going forward, I mean, yeah, like I don't know, like I feel like we might lose Doom. We could lose Doom. We could lose maybe like an Arcane Studios games. They made Dishonored and Deathloop and stuff. But I think Skyrim is too big to be an exclusive. It's too big.
You could say that about Spider-Man. No?
No.
You don't think that Spider-Man is bigger than Skyrim?
I think Spider-Man as a property, sure. Spider-Man as a video game, no.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm interested to see what happens. Bethesda has had some issues over the past couple years.
Yeah.
Specifically with bugs. So maybe this money from Microsoft will make sure that we don't get a Fallout 76 again. Because, you know, Skyrim could come out for all platforms, but if it doesn't work, then I don't care. If it comes out for Xbox and PC and it works, then that might be better. As much as I don't want to lose Skyrim on PS5 or PS4 if I still have a PS4 by then. I don't want another situation where people are buying games and then loading them in and not being able to play them because the games are just busted.
I think the gaming industry as a whole is going to take a much more serious approach to bugs and crunch after Cyberpunk. When that happened, I really felt like and I hope as a gamer, as a long-time gamer, that moment shook the industry enough for everyone to say, let's not do this again.
Well, yeah, it was the first time that the platform finally said to game developers, you're done. Like, that never happened with 76. With Fallout 76, there was never if you guys want your money back because this is broken, we're going to take the game out of the market and you can have your money back.
It's still not on the PlayStation Network store.
Cyberpunk?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, there's a lot of fixes that the industry is starting to make. Hopefully the situation with Cyberpunk does scare them straight, that it's no longer like, oh, it's buggy, who cares?
They're still not selling it, though, which means, has it been fixed?
Well, they were releasing patches in January and February.
But I guess maybe it hasn't been fixed by Sony corporate standards, whatever
Right.
their standards are.
Or maybe they're just not going to sell it, period. Maybe they're just going to say you can buy it in stores, but you can't buy it through us.
Nah, they're going to put it back on the store.
We'll see.
When it comes out as like Cyberpunk Reignited.
The real version.
Yes, the playable version, you know?
It works.
It's not a beta anymore, guys.
Game companies, do better.
Do better, game company. Yeah, we have one every episode. Do better. Well, I mean, hopefully they will. And maybe with, this Bethesda Xbox merger, like you said, that good old Bill Gates Microsoft money can help them out, reduce crunch time, and just ultimately release a better product, because that's,
All we want.
that's all we want. We pay $60 now, turning into $70 day one, just to play the newest game.
I know.
There's no other industry like that.
Yeah, it's got to work.
Where people are willing to spend so much money on a new release. Blu-rays come out and they go for like maybe $40 max, and then they go on sale the week afterwards.
If I walked into a movie theater and the sound wasn't mixed, like you just sat down to watch the movie and there was just no sound mixing, you'd be like, what the fuck is this?
It kind of, I don't know why, I just remembered when X-Men Origins Wolverine had like leaked out to the public, but it was like an unfinished version. So it's like Hugh Jackman like jumping towards like this like clay looking helicopter with like green blades.
Imagine if you saw that in theaters. That's what gamers are dealing with.
But I feel like now, once I get Cyberpunk, like eventually, whatever year or day I get it, I feel like it's not going to be the same for me as it was like for everyone who got it and was like experiencing all those bugs, and like maybe some people were having fun with those bugs. I'm sure that's a bunch of laughs that I'll never experience because I don't want to buy a broken game.
It depends on the bug.
It depends on the bug. Some people were having bugs that their car came and like wrecked up a whole city, and other people like me were having bugs where my game would crash every hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine anyone having fun with a bug like that.
Woo! Another game crash.
How's your game playing nowadays?
I wouldn't know. I haven't played it in months.
Played it since you beat it?
No,
Yeah.
I beat it. I beat it in the state that it came out, because even though it was crashing, every hour to 3 hours, I was still like, it was still playable. And like people were like, oh, like my mission's broken, and I was like, I'm not really having that problem. People are like, oh, my textures are popping in, or characters aren't saying their dialogue, and I'm like, my game's like pretty playable. It just crashes, which is just like, all right, like, thank you, autosave. Just start it up again.
Yeah.
And
that's
get back to it.
autosave, yeah.
But I know people on PlayStation 4, like I know a friend of ours was trying to play it on their PlayStation 4, and they were just like, it's unplayable. I can't do this. Game companies do better.
Game companies do better. Game companies do better. Movie studios do better.
Yeah.
There's a ton of industry opening news starting right now because the industry is kind of kicking back up. There's some new trailers, some new movie announcements, some sequels being greenlit, some TV shows being announced. And there was a new study that actually came out in the last couple days that I thought was really interesting that I wanted to share with the two of you.
Okay.
So Variety is reporting that Hollywood is losing $10 billion annually on racial
Billion with a B.
billion B on racial inequality. The study was done.
That's not the response I was expecting.
Study was done by McKinsey and Company. They did a 6-month study of barriers facing Black professionals within the film and TV industries, looking primarily at the years 2015 to 2019. They found that addressing racial inequalities in who makes content and how that content is marketed and distributed could result in a 7% increase in annual revenue across the board. The study was done with assistance from UCLA and USC, as well as data from Variety themselves. The price tag that they put on it was $10 billion, along with the following bullet points.
Let's hear them.
Production budgets for films with a Black lead or co-lead are on average 20% lower than films that don't, and they have a 5% lower P&A budget. The inequalities are even more pronounced for films with 2 or more Black people on top off-screen jobs, as in director, producer, or writer. Production budgets are 43% lower and 13% lower in P&A, respectively. In addition, 3% of films that were identified as race agnostic, i.e. where the race of the film's character is not critically necessary to the storytelling, had 2 or more Black people in top off-screen jobs. That figure doubles to 6 for films that McKinsey calls race adjacent, stories about the race of its fictional characters, or race specific, stories about real people. That's still far lower than the US population, which is almost 40% racial minorities and 13.4% Black. Films that don't have a Black producer are less likely to have Black directors and writers. Black directors make up 42% of films with a Black producer and 3% of films without one. Black leads are unrepresented across broadcast, cable, and streaming. The number of Black leads went down between 2018 and 2019 from 6.7 to 4.7. Netflix specifically has 15.2% Black leads in their content. So Netflix way ahead of the curve.
But still a really low number.
C-suite executives in TV and especially film sectors are overwhelmingly white. Non-white executives make up 14% of the TV sector and only 8% of the film sector. The overall message of the study is that racial inequality within the industry are woven throughout the entire ecosystem. Mm-hmm. Everyone needs to work together in order to really make sure that these issues are solved. If Hollywood only cares about green, then this is a way to solve it. By solving these problems, you actually make more money. The study has also pointed out that if $10 billion could be made just by fixing racial inequality for Black people, imagine how much money is being left on the table for queer issues, for Latinx people, for Asian American people. All of these different sectors that have not yet been analyzed could bring in even more money to Hollywood. So I turn it over to you guys. How do the two of you feel about this study? What does it make you think about? And how are we at Blackwolves going forward, and even as we have thus far, going to try and change some of those numbers?
Wow. Who would have thunk it? People like seeing themselves represented in media. I never would have guessed it. The numbers surprise me, especially that number of Black leads across content going down in streaming between 2018 and 2019.
Yeah.
But the overall message doesn't surprise me.
No.
At all. Black people, as well as other people of color, have been saying this for years. We just want to see ourselves represented. You know, we want to see our stories being told, whether that's actors that look like us, or writers that look like us, directors, producers. We just, we want our say in this gigantic industry that we all love. This is not like a recent thing. I feel like since the height of Twitter, we've been saying this. Hashtag Oscars so white trends every single year for the last decade. And y'all still refuse to acknowledge us. Y'all still refuse to give us opportunities. Y'all still refuse to give us a chance. It's like you said, Logan, if Hollywood really cares about green, then they'll get to work.
Yes, sir. Jacob?
I'm more thinking about how we at Black Wolves can do something about this. And I think that we are, in the sense that everyone's got a seat at our table and in our collective who wants to produce work.
As of right now, 66% of our executives are minorities.
I'm saying in terms of like representative across the board of our collective, right?
100%.
Not just executives, but like across the board. I'd love to do some sort of outreach or scouting of just people who want to make things and don't have the resources. Like, I'd love to take more chances as a production company. And I know that we work with people who we've worked with, and that's what we've been saying, to feel safe in our decisions as a production company. And I think that maybe being a little more risky could serve us well.
Definitely.
And really showcase some amazing talent that we don't even know personally yet. But I'd love to get to know more people and find more opportunities to meet people who we can work with. So there's that. The numbers don't surprise me. I feel like it's a given that Hollywood is so white and that it's so much harder for people of color to be taken seriously in the industry and get their projects made. A question that I had about this is like the budget. You said the budgets are higher, right, for predominantly white casts. And is that a salary thing? Is that like a who's getting paid what, or is that like how much money is the production company willing to grant, just based off of a lookbook or a pitch, you know?
Oh,
I feel like it's probably a mix of both.
we have this movie that has Leonardo DiCaprio as the lead. We'll give it $100 million. And we have this movie with Jamie Foxx as the lead. Let's give it $30 million.
Right.
Both are incredible Oscar-winning actors.
Both deserve millions to make their movies. How do we decide who gets what money? Because we've noticed in creating things that we're coming up with budgets, but at the end of the day, the people that are giving money to people who ask for it,
They have their own best interest in mind.
and they're deciding how much money they're giving. Like, if I approach a producer and say I need $50,000 for this script, a producer could say, "Sure, I'll give you $50,000," or they could say, "I'll only give you 30." Do movies end up getting made because they don't get their full budget, or are minority creators asking for lower budgets because they don't expect to get as much money? Are
producers just giving lower budgets to casts because they have minorities in them?
Exactly. It's all things that we need to start looking at and fixing as we go forward.
Yeah. But as a production company, I feel like we have good heads on our shoulders and
good intentions behind our actions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look at us. Just a little bit of reflection.
Yeah, I know. That article made me sad. But you know what? We got to do the work.
Yeah, I think the thing that makes me inspired by it is Hollywood tends to only listen to money. So if you can show them that money helps, then they'll make the change.
Mm-hmm.
But B, it says that the conversation is happening. With the conversation happening, it means that we're moving in the right direction.
Absolutely.
There have definitely been things that I've noticed throughout my career that I wish would change faster. As someone who's starting to produce, as someone who's been producing alongside both of you, I definitely feel like there are things that we can do better. But the fact that we're noticing them and making the changes is important.
Yep.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I hope that people can see in the work that Blackwolves does that we're not just talk, that we're not just talking about this stuff, that it's not just, oh, we have these people in power positions, but they're not actually in power positions. That we do actually want to allow creators who have been silenced to create the art that they want to create. It's important to us.
It kind of goes back to something that our newest collective member, Marcus Troy, said in his interview, that we, not just as Black Wolves, but as the new generation of artistes, we are the future. Now, I know that kind of feels like a given, but with that comes these wants, these intentions, these needs for new stories to be told, because especially our generation, we've really grown up in a repackage, in a repackaged system where it's like, oh, we're not going to give you new content. We're going to give you, this reboot of Point Break, a surf TV show from the 80s that everyone's been asking for. We've really grown up in this kind of this repurposed, remodeled generation. And our generation is sick of it. And that's in terms of storytelling. That's in terms of who's represented. That's in terms of who's being represented on and off screen. So I do have hope for our generation that we will be able to change these numbers, change these statistics, and change what is seen on TV to make everyone feel welcome.
Yeah. Can't wait to make these projects that we've been keeping in our back pockets because we don't have the funding for them. And guess what, people? We don't need that much comparatively.
True. We don't need $10 billion.
We don't. We've got projects that we could make easily for 10,000. So, just saying.
If you want to produce Black Wolves content, you know where to find us.
Our inquiries are always open, and we're always looking for new talent, new projects. We want to work, and we want to work with you. Black Wolves.
It's pretty easy to contact. All our emails are on our website. So if anyone's watching this and is like, I really want to work with them, like, email us. It's real easy. If there ever comes a point where we're getting too many emails that we have to be like, all right, guys, stop emailing us, we'll let you know. We're not there yet.
Even at that point, I don't think we'll be like, don't email us. It'll just be like, we're going to respond a little slower.
Email this other email.
Guys, I'm looking forward to this summer. I feel like we're gonna get a chance to make some cool shit.
Me too.
What about
Oh,
you?
yeah.
I'm looking
excited.
really hopeful. Feeling good, guys. I got my vaccine yesterday. Feeling good. Doing
Yay.
what?
How's the arm doing?
It's a little sore. It's like getting more. It hurts more and more. I thought it would like hurt less and less, but it's fine. Little sore. I can move it though.
It's good.
We're good.
I believe in you. You'll be fine, kid.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, on that note, I mean, what content have you guys been consuming before we sign off?
For sure.
I have continued to play Kentucky Route Zero. Gosh,
Wild.
I'm in love with this game. I talked about this like maybe a week or two ago. I think the review that I watched said that it was like this poetry puzzle, but it is not poetry. This thing is literally a play.
Oh, wow.
It's formatted as a play. There was an interlude, right? So it's like the levels of the game are broken into acts. And between each act, there's an interlude. Well, between Act 2 and 3, there's an interlude that is literally a 45-minute play. And I've already bought the book because I was like, this is incredible. Not only is it a 45-minute play, but it's like you can look at the characters and the dialogue will progress. You look down at the table and you realize you're a character in this situation with your own stage directions. You look over to the jukebox and it tells you all the sound cues. You look behind you and you can read the reviews of that play. You look like over here, and you can like see like the director's notes, and you look to the other side and you can see the actor waiting to like come on stage. And I was just like,
It's really
was
cool.
I was just so in awe of like just this rephrasing of how you can tell of storytelling through video games. It's like it's really unlike anything I've played ever. I was gonna say recently, but like ever. And it's also a game where it's like you have choices. It's not like a Telltale game where it's like choices carry over, but it's these choices that are so small that feel so huge that I'm like, ugh, like, but what if I ask this other, like, it's incredible. I highly recommend it to anyone who's interested in just like a narrative experience. Kentucky Route Zero, thumbs up of approval.
I'll have to check that out.
I started playing the Forest yesterday, which is which is like Minecraft if Minecraft was set on an island full of cannibals. It's spooky, and I don't know why I started playing it. Like all my friends keep trying to get me to play horror games, and I'm like, leave me alone. And then they bully me enough that I'm like, all right, fine, I'll play the damn game. And then I have a terrible time, but it's a fun time because we're all having fun together.
Right. Yeah.
I started watching God of High School, which is a Crunchyroll anime. Every episode is a cool fight, and that's what I'm here for. RuPaul's Drag Race, still watching that. New episode of Jujutsu Kaisen is out today, and I'm looking forward to that Snyder Cut. Have to mention it every week. You thought we were gonna not mention it this week.
All
We
right.
end up doing a compilation before the Snyder Cut comes out of every time we've mentioned the Snyder Cut.
Oh yeah. All right.
Logan?
Next up, Logan. What you got for us, bud?
In terms of new stuff, I read through all of Ready Player One.
Oh, you finished it.
I did. I really enjoyed it. I've been reading recently some backlash about the book that it's like it hasn't aged well, or it's just a bunch of pop culture references in a row that has no real like meaning. I don't know that I agree with that. I really like it. I would like to now watch the movie to see if I have the same reaction.
Logan, watch it. It's a good movie.
This is what I have heard, but I've also heard that it does not stick to the book very well. So
All right, yeah.
I'll be interested in that. Over the weekend, RuPaul's Drag Race Snatch Game, which was so good. Very much enjoyed that one episode of the season that I watch, and then I'll just wait till the finale and I'll watch that. Other than that, I'm still playing Apex because of course I am. I'm still playing Assassin's Creed Unity, speaking of games that still have bugs in them. And I'm still watching the same things that I was watching before WandaVision just ended. I finished Hunters a little while ago, so I haven't really like started a new show. I haven't really had any time to watch any movies. I got a bunch of stuff from SAG though, so hopefully I'll start doing that very soon for the SAG Awards because voting is coming up. So yeah, that's what I've been watching.
Fun fact, every time Logan loses a ranked match in Apex, he's doing 10 push-ups.
I am.
Logan, how many push-ups would you say you've done by now?
By now, like probably at least 300.
That's the number I was thinking of as well.
I'm doing between like 40 and 90 a night because like there's some nights that we do really well and like we'll only lose like 3 or 4 games, and there's some nights that we just get swept. So yeah, I'm trying to get my workout in even while I'm playing the same video game over and over and over again.
That MLG lifestyle.
Very
Jacob,
nice.
what you got for us?
Oh, I've been watching this show called Losers on Netflix, which is a documentary style series about people who have like publicly lost. It's mostly athletic things. Like there's an Iditarod episode, there's a soccer episode, there's a basketball episode, there's a a marathon episode. It's really cool though. The way they do it is cool. They like have nice like hand-drawn animation to for like flashbacks of like the actual events, whatever they didn't get actual coverage of. Really cool. I don't know when it came out, but had a good time watching that series. Also watched Coming to America and Coming to America. Both were great movies, and I think I like the first one better than the second.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But
I heard that the big house that they filmed Coming to America at is actually Rick Ross's house. and it looks huge,
It's a big house.
like insanely huge. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you should watch the movie. I'd suggest it. Sure. Other than that, can't really think of much.
Oh, I took a recommendation off you, Jacob, and I started watching the Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel on Netflix. Very, and I'm not one for like murder docs, but this one's really interesting.
Intriguing, eh?
Yeah, intriguing,
Yeah.
and like the episodes are like every time I finish an episode, I'm like, huh, that wasn't like a waste of time.
No.
Yeah, really, really intriguing mystery that like still. I mean, I've only watched the first 3 episodes, so there's still fourth. I don't know if anything will get resolved. Probably not. As this is the Vanishing at Cecil Hotel. But you know, I'm an optimist, and I hope for the best.
Great. I'm glad you're enjoying that. That was a
that
fun ride. Yeah. On that note, see ya.
Yeah.
Thanks for
See,
watching.
it's time for us to be vanishing out of here, but we hope you come back for more. Make sure you go on to our Blackwolves Instagram page and our website. Come to us if you have a project.
Yeah, come join us.
Give this video a thumbs up.
We haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, we haven't done that in a while. Thanks so much. I'm Jeremy Van Suarez.
I'm Jacob Wade.
I am Logan Riley Bruner.
And I bid you adieu.